Well, you already know and love the First Presidency of the LDS Church. Their dedicated service is an inspiration to all of us. But you may not be quite as familiar with their wives, Frances Monson, Kathleen Eyring, and Harriet Uchtdorf. These are the women who lovingly stand by their husbands' sides as they lead the church. They also faithfully support, help, and nurture their families. Today we have the privilege of honoring these wonderful women. We asked a child of each one of them to share thoughts and reflections about their mothers. We'll share these stories throughout the show. First up, we honor Sister Monson. On October 7th, 1948, President Thomas S. Monson married Frances Beverly Johnson in the Salt Lake Temple. Nearly 65 years later, Sister Monson continues to be the love of his life and a wonderful mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Their daughter, Ann Monson Dibb, shares memories about her mom.
She's always one to listen and to maybe just offer just a few words of, what she would do if she were in that same situation. It was more just her constant example that became the greatest influence in my life. There was never a question as to what she believed, what she would do, what she expected others to do. She exemplified what you should be as a Latter-day Saint, as a Christian, and that became her testimony, which hopefully has become part of me. When they were first married, it was more difficult for her to have children, and it was questionable at first whether she'd be able to have any. And so that was very, very challenging for her. She received her patriarchal blessing after she was married, and in that blessing, she was assured that she would have children, and that was the only statement I think she really wanted to hear. Once there was the snake Herman that my brother had, and oh goodness, it seemed like Herman was always disappearing. The snake would appear in the silverware drawer, or one time in the bathroom in a very memorable moment. My mother would never say, "You're getting rid of that." She never did that. She always did, again, she just went along for the ride. She liked to shop. She's always one for a bargain. She would always know, what discounts she received, or, what the regular price was, and then what she was able to get it for. One time she said, when I pass away, I want you to remember that I bought everything in this house on sale. I think my mother had a lot of patience, and she also recognized that things didn't get better necessarily because you might complain about it, and that was a great example for me. My father became a bishop when they had been married a year, and so her biggest calling was supporting my father. He has been gone such a large amount of time, but she never complained. In fact, instead of complaining about it, she always encouraged, and she was always there to listen as soon as my father was home. I know that he has always felt that support. He would call her during the day, every day, 1 or 2 times a day, to see how she was. It was always, "Aren't we glad when we're together?" Part of my parents' belief was that you have to create memories for our children and grandchildren. My father would say, "Oh, let's go to the cabin," or maybe we ought to go to Yellowstone. And so my mother would always make it happen. She's always been my best friend, and I knew that I was her best friend as well. There's just a sweetness and a beauty about my mother that's come through these years that I've just become so aware of and so grateful for. She continues to go on because of her love for us. Mother, I love you because you've always been there for me, and you've given your family everything. I love you.
It's fun to get to know these faithful women a little bit better. Coming up